welcome. Episode 3 of On the Couch with Warren and Melissa, except not with Melissa just yet. She's got an episode coming up. But yeah, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
It's only a pleasure. I think for those who don't know who Robbie is, watch the latest episode of Cadence. No, but Rob Dupri is the man behind Rubber Side Down, one of the most successful and qualified coaches we have in the Western Cape at the moment, and someone who's really built a business on teaching people the fundamentals, and we'll get to that exact word a little bit later.
Are our viewers going to play a drinking game?
Let's see how many times we can say it. But yeah, thank you for joining. I think we were talking before this, and we were saying, for me, for any sort of service, it always helps when we know the individual, when we know the person, and that's what this series is all about. Is about getting people like you, people who make a difference, people who are out there every day educating people and making better riders of us, and you're doing it with such great passion. And so to get you on here and to learn a little bit about you, so that when we come out and we do these lessons, you're not just Rob from Rubber Side Down, you're Rob Dupri, and we know a little bit about you. So awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a lot of talking from me. But yeah, Rob, I think where to start, like, you're not from Cape Town.
No.
I don't think a lot of people know that.
Let's keep it that way. I feel like I've just joined the clique.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just mute that bit out. But yeah, from Durban.
Yeah, I'm from Durban. I grew up in Durban, and I did my schooling in Durban. I studied in Durban. And I moved down, let me think, 6 years ago. Myself and my now wife, Chantal, we moved down together. When I was living in Durban, we used to holiday in Cape Town. I used to come down with my cycling team quite often, and I just love Cape Town.
Sorry, just take us back there quickly. Cycling team.
Yeah, I was a bit of a competitive cyclist in my youth.
No ways.
Yeah.
Okay, come on, road cycling.
Road and track. So the oval, like the Belleville Velodrome we got here. I actually raced junior world champs in 2008 on the Belleville Velodrome.
So many layers.
Yeah, I came from somewhere.
Cool, so that's amazing. So obviously grown up, studies, did you study anything related to the industry or...
I did what anyone does that likes sport but doesn't know what they want to do with themselves. I studied sports management and development.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. So where did that journey take you?
It actually got me on the path to where I am now. Okay. So I studied that at Varsity College in Durban North, also known as Vacation Club.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, it was no different in Cape Town, trust me.
They've got a reputation to uphold there.
Doesn't matter where in the country.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah. It was so much fun. We got nothing done. Oh, no, it really did.
Look, it got you this far.
No, it really did. So it... I stumbled across the things I needed to know to become a teacher and a coach. And a lot of it was in terms of athlete development and the sports industry as a whole, and getting familiar with other sports outside of cycling, because when you're a competitive junior and all you want to do is make it to the highest level, you don't look at anything else around you. It's just cycling driven. So I knew nothing about anything else. And so when you're in that environment with sports people from different environments, rugby, soccer, cricket, wherever you look, they're all in that class. We had a swimmer at the time, Jessica Roux, who went to the Olympics.
Yes.
Yeah, she was in class with us before going to the Olympics in London. So yeah, we were all from different avenues, and so we all shared different.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So it was a really cool environment to get to understand sport as an industry.
Yeah,
and also get to understand how to deal with sports people.
Yeah,
being
they
a
are a
sports
different
person.
breed.
there's something wrong with us.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm not going to argue with you.
No, we're not okay. Yeah. But so, I did that course. And then, of course, I got out of that course thinking, well, it's not sports science. So what do I do now? I can't start writing programs for anybody.
Yeah.
So it just so happened that someone messaged me and said there's a play ball, say that right, play ball franchise in Durban North, and they're looking for a coach. And play ball is an internationally known pre-primary school program, extramural program. Yeah. And there's franchises all over South Africa, and there's now franchises all over the world. And
is it a South African brand?
Yeah, it started in Sea Point by a man named Russell Wobe, and he's taken it from early beginnings many, many years back, and he's turned it into a huge business.
Wow. It's another proudly South African brand.
It's doing so well. I've been to a lot of schools, and I've worked for a lot of play ball franchises, and play ball is definitely the number one extramural you want your kids to do. It's okay. Depending on what they want. If they want to do ballet and dancing, then play ball's not your guy. Yeah. But
I'm saying for like a kid like Charlie, who's all she wants to do is be on her bike and throw netballs in a netball hoop, then it would be perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So they are the most developed kids active program for kids between 3 and 6. And their coaches are the most highly trained coaches you can find. And that's where I cut my teeth as a coach.
Dude, that's so cool. But like, as a side note, I need to grab those details, and we'll put it down below for the listeners out there. And for Charlie, yeah. I think that would be super cool. I mean, we want to obviously do as much as we can as parents to give our kids a great start in life, and that sounds absolutely fantastic.
And there's a franchise in every suburb. I remember being in the play ball industry, and it was always a talk of how difficult it is to buy a franchise and how expensive it is. Yeah. If you buy a franchise in your area, then you get that area yours. So if you're the southern suburbs, for example, I work for the southern suburbs, another play ball franchise can't come and take that space and go to the schools in that space. It's yours to make use of. And it's a really great program. And I was incredibly lucky to go from studying sports management and development and then learning and building work experience with those coaches and with those franchises and with that program. And the way they teach, the philosophy they used to teach really taught me everything I use today. And I think that's why I do so well as a coach, and I can relate to people so well and explain things so well, because I've had to explain it to a 3-year-old before.
Yeah. Look, I mean, some of us that come to your lessons are like 3-year-olds, but
me too.
But okay, so that's fantastic. So you've got this background in sports management. You've got training in how to relay the message. Then you leave Durban.
Yeah. Well, myself and Chantal were living together in Durban, and we loved Durban. Durban was amazing. Still, we love it. And I was just back there a week or two ago. Absolutely love the place. Yeah. But we also love Cape Town, and Chantal's family was down here. And so she saw an opportunity. She studies as a chiropractor and qualified as a chiropractor. And so she wanted to look for opportunities down here. And so she made the decision to come down. And then I thought, well, it's Cape Town. I want to try something new. I want to live in Cape Town. And I came.
You still had the sea, so.
Yeah, but it's so cold.
Depends where you go.
Yeah. No, it's cold everywhere. If you come from Durban, it's all cold. I absolutely love the sea, but I want to swim more. It's cold there.
Fair enough. Sorry, just while we're on Chantal, it's just like, I think it's also important for the listeners to understand Chantal now is probably one of the most decorated and qualified pediatric chiropractors this country has ever seen.
Yeah.
So for those people looking for kids, Charlie's been to her. Charlie still goes to her.
Yeah.
She is phenomenal.
Yeah.
She helped Melissa with the postpartum journey, and She's an absolute sweetheart. She's just so amazing.
She's
so
awesome.
Anyway, enough about your wife. She's amazing.
She's cool.
Chantal, we love you. Yeah, so you moved down to Cape Town. Chantal's here, you here, her family's here.
Mm-hmm.
You want to start a business. You want, like, where do you go? You're in this new city. I mean, I remember so I did the trek from Cape Town to Joburg.
Yeah.
We had a company that I worked for, and I moved up there, and I lasted 6 months, and I was just like, no. It's been 6 years for you. You're still here.
Well,
I suppose that's Joburg, though.
Yeah.
But I mean,
yeah. So the transition for me was tough. I learned a lot at Playball. I started coaching Playball in Durban North, and I learned a lot. But then I kind of wanted to see something outside of coaching. I didn't know if that was. I didn't at the time see a long-term future in it.
Yeah.
Unless I bought a franchise or started being a schools coach or a sports administrator at a school, something like that. And so when I moved down here, I started working in retail and I started working at bike stores. And I went from Bridge to Revolution Cycles and met SJ there and Senior and all the guys and had some time in retail. And that was amazing. After being through a few bike stores, I think before I left Durban, I did a little bit of time at a bike shop called CC Gallery in Gateway.
Okay.
Where they were a KTM Gateway and then also a bike store. They've now closed, but KTM Gateway is still going. But then, so I did a bit of retail. And by the time I got to Revolution Cycles was the best bike store you could work for.
Yeah.
And it still wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you chat to SJ, you'll say I'm a lovely person, but I was useless at the job. I was terrible.
Well, we're actually getting him on the podcast in a little bit, so we'll be sure to bring that up.
Yeah, he's brilliant. I love watching him work, which is why I didn't do any work.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
No, he was very cool. But yeah, I got there and I spent some time in retail and I did learn a few things there and it's helped me along the way here.
And I suppose it's also, being cyclist, it's also kind of made that net a little bit bigger for you.
Yeah.
So you got to meet the right people.
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to be in sport and then I knew I was a cyclist and I wanted to be in cycling more specifically. So the first place you usually start is retail and then you go from there. And so when I realized retail really wasn't for me, I really hated being indoors. That was the biggest thing for me. It was the 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 here in Cape Town.
So-called corporate.
Yeah, that time spent between four walls was just not for me. Yeah. So I wanted to be outside again. And so I started tracking down Playball franchises and contacting them. And I then found the one in Sea Point. And I worked for Playball Sea Point for a little while, but it was still a very small franchise. And so work was very limited because as a Playball coach, you get paid for the work you do.
Okay, yeah.
And then I managed to find a spot at Playball in the City Bowl and Southern Suburbs. And that was an amazing franchise. Okay. I learned so much from the coaches there. Learned so much from the owner. It was an incredible franchise to work for. And then at the same time, I started mountain bike coaching and I started working for Breakaway Rise.
No ways.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Never knew that.
Yeah. So I had done a bit of part-time mountain bike coaching in Durban for a company called Single Track Minded. Okay. And that was pretty cool, but I had no idea what I was doing. Yep. It was just like point and go, as most people start.
Yes.
And then in Cape Town, Breakaway Rides was getting some groups in and I was helping out part-time. So my Playball lessons were in the morning and my
mountain
bike coaching was in the afternoon. And Perfect balance. And then along came this little bug called COVID.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
changed everything.
Changed everything. So school shut down. There was no work. Annie did, the owner of the Playball Cape Town franchise. She did amazing work to keep us afloat during that time when schools were off and no contracts were being taken out and coaches were just sitting at home. But when we started being allowed out again and allowed into parks again, we were allowed to start coaching again, but not at school. So Playball was still closed, and breakaway rides was getting busier because parents didn't have schools to get to, or have schools to do sports or schoolwork with, and so they were looking for extramurals, private extramurals.
And I think at that time, sorry to break your word, there was also this big boom in mountain biking.
It was massive. Helsen was doing these progression session days and shuttle days and open days, and it was sold out in minutes. And it was awesome to see. I went to one or two with some of my kids, and everybody was just having a blast. Kids were loving bikes. Parents were out. Kids were out. Everybody just needed an opportunity to get out.
To get out of the house. Yeah.
And so we were in a real sweet spot for that time. And so the mountain bike coaching industry really grew rapidly. And that was amazing for us. We were filling up our classes, and kids were building passion in mountain biking. And I think that's rolled on to today. Yeah. We're still definitely seeing the effects of that boom. We have to find our time now with extramural, because they've gone back, of course, a long time ago, and so they take priority, because if you're in school, you have to choose a few sports, and then they choose your times, and then they'll drop in a game every now and again at the last minute, and the parents will contact us and say, this rugby game's come up, we can't attend the ride. So we have to. It's a little harder to grow now, but the after effects of COVID was actually great for us.
Yeah, I mean, if I think about the amount of bikes sold during COVID, because people just went, it's all you could do.
Yeah, I remember the whole industry issue with there was now no stock after getting rid of all the stock.
And then they've made all of the stock, and now it's tapered down. So all of these companies are going bankrupt because they're sitting with all this excess stock, and they can't sell it.
Still sitting with it.
Yeah, still sitting with it. It's one of the reasons Santa Cruz has, had some issues. Their chain reaction cycles has closed down in the UK now.
They were the biggest thing.
Massive, dude. And they've there's a whole bunch of like Poly bikes have shut down now and gone into administration. It's been it's a sad state of affairs.
It's very sad.
But looking, I mean, especially for us, we're trying to do these videos to get people out there. And it's amazing to see how many people are out there that have never been on a bike before. It's super encouraging.
Yeah, I love it. And that's the reason I'm in this. I want to help those people. I want to make sure that they don't have a fall and then resent the sport and let the bike gather dust. Yeah. I want to see them out on the trails in 10 years' time, progressing on in their own way, shape, or form, and just loving being outside and on a bike.
Which is why I think this works so well hand in hand. It's like we're trying to provide a platform for people to have a look at what they're going to ride before they ride it, and not at a breakneck speed where, everyone's jumping everything, but just slow it down a little bit so you can have a proper look at something. You then pair that with the skills that you provide, and someone can go out and have a really good morning out on the bike.
Yeah, and your journey has been incredible to watch, because you started like everyone else, same as me, where you started as a complete beginner. You probably thought, I'm never going to get the wheels off the ground. I just want to be outside.
It still makes me nervous.
Yeah, well, you're doing well.
But thank you,
No, but it's so great to see you go, because once you realize how things are done, or once you can visualize it, then it becomes, maybe I can do something in my own at my own size and at my own pace. And then that's how little bits of progression comes on. And eventually you get to the point where, wow, I'm actually doing big stuff and I didn't plan for this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I do things because Melissa does it first. So people out there, like, we joke about this, but I'm like, that woman's a magical rider. Yeah. I mean, she picks things up so quickly. But I think she is in an advantageous position compared to me, in that I have a lot of old bad habits that need to be broken. So I need to relearn things. And at the tender age of 45, it's not always the easiest thing to do. Where Melissa came into the sport, and I think within like 1 or 2 years or a year of owning her first bike, she was coming to you for lessons. So she was learning the right technique from the very beginning. So where to look and how to turn. And
Yeah.
if she wasn't comfortable on a trail, and she would go, oh, we need to get hold of Rob and we need to go back again. I need to do another corners lesson.
Yeah.
So she's been driving that into her riding. So it's been encouraging for me. And it's one of the reasons I push as hard as I do on the bike, because she might not be as fast as me, but technically I think she's a better rider than me. Because she's had some we've both been coached by you, but she's had more lessons with you than what I have. And she's picked it up.
No, she's doing amazingly well. But everybody's on their own journey. So they're all figuring things out on their own way. And for example, even though she's started the right way by learning the proper techniques from the beginning, she may not then understand why the wrong techniques are so wrong, where you may have come from practicing or having the bad habits, but when you learn the right way, you go, oh, you can understand why one way is more advantageous to the other way.
Yeah. But while we're talking about coaching, I think we, what is it now, 2 years ago, became BICP certified.
Yeah.
Where this proper certification journey starts. And I think it's important for people to know what that is, because you get coaches and you get coaches. There's coaching certification, and there are coaches who teach based on their personal experience. You're not that coach.
I was at a time.
Well, at a time, but now you've got you're pretty much certified. What is BICP?
Please don't ask me what the acronym stands for. I'm sure it's out there. Google it. But it's an international certification for mountain bike skill instructors. And so, yes, there's an element of how to teach, but there's also an element of these are the philosophies we have for mountain biking, and this is how we want things to be, or how we suggest things should be explained and understood. And it's not, it's the same as the Playball program, where it's been evolved and developed over years, and it's understanding of many professional athletes in the sports industry and teachers in the industry that come together and dissect how to mountain bike and then put it into a way of how to teach it. And so when back in the day, we used to say lean back, and we used to say drop your outside foot to the ground. And there used to be a lot of things that we would look at a picture and go, well, that's what they're doing. This is how we should do it. Yeah. And now it's you're not wrong, but it's a different way of thinking about it. So for example, leaning back. It looks like you're leaning back when you're going down a trail because the bike is in front of you. But actually what you're doing is you're pushing the bike forward. You're always keeping your weight on your feet. So I always say in that first bit of the lesson is I always say you never want to manipulate your body. You always want to manipulate your bike. Yeah. And so that sort of stuff I picked up from my BICP course. I learned how to explain how to corner. I learned how to explain how to ride down steep drops. I learned about the ready position, about all the fundamentals, and then how to progress the fundamentals and how to progress the skills. And so that's what that BICP course is. It's a 3-day course, and you have a level 1 and a level 2. So it's not going to turn you into a teacher overnight, but it does give you some very valuable tools to use, and it gives you theory behind how you teach. So if you say this is you don't want to lean back, and someone says that, but I've been told that all the time, you say, well, we've been taught to teach this way, and we've been taught to tell you why we teach this way. So we can explain it very well, and that's what the BICP course really did well for me. But I also learned how to teach from all that time and experience with Playball and with my diploma.
And I think that it's so important to note that I don't know if a lot of people know, but Melissa and I are BICP level 1 coaches as well. And I think we did it at roughly the same time. You then went on to do level 2, and we didn't. So for us, it was just a matter of we were doing a lot of group rides. We still do quite a bit of group rides now. it's just being able to relay information to new people joining our group rides.
And that is so valuable.
So
I mean,
we don't want to coach them.
yeah, I remember you saying in an article, we're BICP certified now, but don't worry, coaches.
Yes, yeah, exactly. We don't want to coach. We just, like, I want to be able to go, we're doing this group ride, you're a new rider, you're going down this thing, your body position looks a little bit off, and we give you a piece of advice, and you go, but who are you? You're just someone who arranges group rides.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys have become such amazing ambassadors for the sport, and the fact that you've taken the effort to educate yourselves on how best to help, it really shows how genuine you guys are in helping the industry. You guys are amazing.
Thank you, I appreciate it, and well, so are you, which is why we are where we are today. But it was so important for us just to be able to be in a position that if people question us, we can then go, hey guys,
we've been taught this.
We've been taught this. There's a way to do it, and this is the reasons why you should be doing it. Instead of just like, we're telling you to do it, so do it. Yeah. And I think that was so cool. But coming back to a word that you mentioned a couple of times now, fundamentals. Just tell us just tell us a little bit about it. Like, what is this fundamentals thing that we keep hearing about? We've mentioned it in prior videos we've done with you. A new person is now coming, and they've listened to the podcast now, and they want to know who Rob is and what this fundamentals thing is. What is it?
The fundamentals are the base of skills that you need to be a mountain biker, and they're not obvious. So it's not as simple as standing on your pedals, and it's not as simple as just looking up. And if you empower yourself with the right explanation for those skills, you really have a good understanding of what you need to do to be in the best position to enjoy yourself. And it's not useless information if you're trying to be faster, because those need to be in place for you to continue to progress. Yeah. If you are having trouble progressing, then there's a good chance it's not for a lack of trying. There's a good chance that there's something in those fundamental skill sets that may be slightly lacking, whether you may be putting more weight on your back foot than on your front, or you may be looking forward, but you're looking at the danger and not at the path. Yeah. It's just one or two little tweaks that can be a game changer. The fundamental skills can be the game changer skill. It's what makes the best mountain bikers in the world so good. Yeah. It's how Greg and all the top Loic, all the top guys send it down the trails. They know that when they smash through a rock garden at Val de Sol, they know they're going to have that bike underneath their feet because they know their fundamentals are solid. And so those skills need to be in place in order for you to progress to the point where you're a World Cup rider or just a rider that enjoys every ride and feels safe and confident.
And I think you touching on that, that's probably the biggest thing. The lessons enable you to be safe on the trails.
Yeah, that's always
not
the goal.
Fast.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, fast is a byproduct of
exactly.
Of it,
yeah.
But safe is what's the important word in that entire sentence.
Yeah, safe, enjoyable, and fast all go hand in hand. Yeah. If you want to be fast, then that's where you will push. It's just how eager you are to push on to be fast.
Natural progression.
Yeah. So it's just, do you want to coast out of a corner, or do you want to start pedaling hard? Yeah. And then the more you pedal hard out of the corner, the more you improve your speed. Yeah. But the fundamentals always help you stay safe and enjoy your riding. So you're not braking so much and your body's not tense so much and you're not getting to a rock and freaking out. You're relaxed and enjoying the coast or the flow. Yeah. That's the right word. And you're getting to the bottom of the trail, not feeling exhausted and full of anxiety. You're getting to the bottom of the trail going, high five, that was rad. Yeah. Whether it's a blue trail or a black trail.
Yeah. And I think what's also so cool is that you've helped me with that mentality. So, I mean, I don't know if the guys know, but I've done a lot of lessons with you. And so I have, and I'm convinced it's an age thing. So I'm becoming risk averse in my older days because obviously we have Charlie now, and I've got a job, and we've got
priorities.
There's all of these things that are completely opposite to what goes through your head when you're going down Black Rhino 1 or DH or something, and there's rocks and steep gradients and
I think you and me are very similar that way.
Yeah.
I've hurt myself enough in my previous years as a road cyclist and a track cyclist. I've broken enough bones, and I'm done with it now. Yeah. But I still want to hit that big drop, right?
You see, that's the thing. So I've got you got to kind of balance home life, and I think we're not the only people like that. I was chatting to one of my colleagues at work, and he was saying the same thing. He's like, he's a brilliant cross country rider. And the problem is that because of his position at work, he's quite senior, he can't afford to get injured.
Yeah.
So, yes, he wants to go fast, and yes, he wants to try and enduro, and yes, he wants to do these drops. But he's like, in his mind, he's being held back by the fact that he's got responsibilities and that he can't afford to be injured.
Yes.
And I think that's where the lessons become important.
Yeah, so the lessons aren't going to make you go and do something you don't want to do. It's not going to be, okay, we're doing corners today, so you're going to do the tightest, most scary switchback. Yeah. It's here's how we tackle switchbacks, and then we use... I usually use a lawn because you can practice the techniques and go as wide as you want. You don't fall off a cliff if you get it wrong.
Yeah.
And then you can choose how much you want to progress. And if you want to come back and say, okay, after that lesson on the lawns, I want to go do Cliffhanger in Wellington.
Dude, that thing still gives me heart palpitations.
I love that trail.
I need to go back. Look, we're going to get you to take us back.
Let's go. Say when.
But I'm so stressed about the descent.
I was there the other day, and you get to the top and you look down and you're like, what are we doing, guys?
It freaks me out. I have a massive fear of heights.
It is.
It's getting better, though.
Yeah.
Like, I remember doing the Irish climb in Jonkershoek when I just started mountain biking, and we got up to Irish 5, and I was like, the palms started sweating, and I was like, don't look to your right. So I've got better. I can do that now.
Yeah.
But there's still like 1 or 2 trails out there that still freak the little, and that's what, like, I haven't been there, but it looks like it's going to freak me out.
It's the coolest. Like, just go up there. If you walk every switchback, but you were up there, you're going to tell everybody about it and say how amazing it is. It's an iconic trail, and it's just down the road.
Dude, okay. So now we've done our fundamentals.
Yeah.
What's next? I mean, what is next in the mountain bike coaching journey that's going to change the world for these riders? I don't know. Do we just, what would be your suggestion that comes after fundamentals?
That's so personal. So it's totally up to you. If you want to go and chase World Cups, or you want to race the local scene, or you want to go and ride all the gnarliest trails in South Africa, or you just want to be able to pitch up to any bike park, choose a trail, and have a good time, it's up to you. And just it's how motivated you are to progress, and how much work you put in. If you put in the hours and work on progress, you will get to the point where the drop that's been terrifying, or the cliff that's been terrifying, the steep slope that's been terrified, one day you'll get there and go, why have I been worried about this?
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just, it just takes time. And so I think that's where you and I are. We will not do something if we have any doubt in our minds.
Yes.
And so eventually, as you progress, you get to a point where you just look at something and you're like, yeah, I've got this. Yeah. And that's the best time to do it, because then there's 100% certainty that you're going to do it right.
It's so funny that you mentioned that. Yeah. Like, I can, it's fun, it's like the hair standing up from my arms. So hitting something for the first time, and you're always nervous. So I had this experience doing Queen's Descent at Bloemendal. And you go over the rock roll, you come around the corner, it's the rock garden, and then the right-hander into that first gap jump.
Yeah, that like rock face.
Yeah. Could never do it. Came for lessons with you, we practiced and we practiced and practiced. And one day I got there and I was just like, everything just clicked into place.
Yeah, you can visualize because you're like, I've done something bigger than this somewhere else. I
And
know
it
where the
was just
landing
around
is.
the corner and you popped over it and you're like,
You land at the
why
why is this taking so long?
did this
But
take
you know
me
what?
3 months?
You know what? It was the perfect time to do that.
Yeah.
So it's fine that it took that long.
Yeah.
It was just right for you.
But you see, that's the thing. We just like, we're taking things on merit now. We're trying not to rush it.
Yeah.
I think, and that's another thing with mountain biking, peer pressure, dude.
Yeah, and if you're
pressure.
a performance athlete, then you're going to lose 3 seconds if you don't hit that drop,
Yeah.
or 5 seconds.
No, but
So-
it's not just that. Peer pressure from mates
Oh, yeah.
who are like going, well, we did it. Just follow us in.
Yeah, and like the biggest one at Conti's, guys, that's the easiest one. And you're like, shut up, it's bigger than me.
And I think we all suffer from that, especially as guys. I mean, ladies, they don't give a crap. They just like, no, I'm not doing this. Guys, like, okay, let's get in this train.
I've met a couple of ladies that I'm like, okay, yeah, you're hectic.
But yeah, so I think that's where these lessons really, really help. So a little bit from my side, we did the fundamentals with you. It was a game changer for us. I mean, the way that it changed our ridings for the better was fantastic. And I think what we love about you is the way that you communicate these things. And obviously, we now know that there's been a long progression of teaching that has come and brought you to this point. And that's fantastic because we've experienced it, and now the rest of the people listening can come out and give you a call and experience it as well. But I think the cool thing with us is we then did those fundamentals, and then what next for us was very personal, like you said.
Yeah.
For Melissa, she needed to focus on corners and drops and jumps. I needed to focus on getting out of my head and doing certain features. So I didn't do lessons with you per se on drops, but we went and looked at different features, and we could then focus on certain fundamentals that got me around and over those features. So
Yeah.
for those people listening, it's like you don't have to. I mean, Rob can help you with with pretty much anything. It's just
I'd love to, yeah.
And I think that's what makes you such a special human. I
Oh,
think
thank
it's
you, man.
Very cool. So yeah, we're gonna drop your details down below, and
Thank you very much.
yeah, guys, just give him a shot. I know your calendar's freeing up a little bit now. We're going into winter.
Yeah, we're going into winter, but I really like pushing winter because now's the time where everybody's got a little bit more time and there's not as much pressure. So if you're coming up to Cape Epic and you're 3 weeks away, it's like panic and rush.
Yes,
so
yeah.
I love being able to work with people 6 months in advance, and then they can get those fundamentals and get those key elements that work for them and those game changer moves. And they can build on that. So by the time the big event comes, they've built even further on. So if you are working towards something, the sooner the better.
Yeah. Okay, so
That was fun.
that was fun, but we're sitting having dinner on Tuesday nights, Melissa and I, flipping through the channels,
Oh no.
and we ended up on Cadence.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that face looks familiar.
It was first me and Lycra.
I was like, why is Rob wearing that? And then next thing we know, you're pretty much presenting the episode.
Yeah, big shout out to Max Sullivan and Sean Glover. Sean puts on the Weekend Warrior event, which is incredible. It's so much fun. It's super cool for kids and for parents. And it's if you want to get into a stage race, but you don't want to do something massive like Wine to Wales or Epic, that's the one. Hey, it's really cool. It's such a vibe. And Sean puts 2 on in the Western Cape every year. So the last one that you saw on TV was Grabo, which was beautiful and fun, and the trails were awesome. And we got to use the trails that aren't open to the public anymore, the Paul Clover trails. So that was super cool, and there was ages and distances for everybody, and it was never like a big 1,000-meter climbing day.
Yeah.
It was just the right amount of difficulty and just the right amount of fun. It was
That sounds amazing.
beautiful. And there's another one later on in the year in Wellington, which I did last year. Super cool.
Okay, cool. As
Yeah.
long as it doesn't include the cliffhanger.
No, you go a little bit up there, but not all the way.
then yeah, we're definitely keen.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, thank you so much for coming and
Thank
chatting
you.
and giving us a little bit of an insight into who Rob Dupri is.
Thank you very
we
much.
really, really appreciate it. And all the best with the journey.
Yeah, it continues.
Yeah, and it's not going to be our last lesson. I know we'll be coming back to you.
Yeah, I
But
know you guys have the bug is bitten and you want to continue on.
Dude, we're just trying to push those boundaries.
Yeah,
But yeah,
but-
for anyone that wants a really good coach who explains things really well, this is your man. Hit him up in the details below, and we look forward to having Rob back in future.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Cheers. Appreciate it, dude. Thank you.